Hey everybody, Sam Davidson here with MEA Worldwide, and I am sitting here today with Clarissa Thibeaux, who plays Xavin from Marvel's The Runaways. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm like knee deep in binging the show, and it's so fantastic so far. Congratulations on everything with your role. So tell me a little bit about how you landed this role and what you knew about her.
So when I first found out that I got Xavin, it was kind of overnight. I actually found out via Facebook, which is highly irregular. But I got a message from the casting director on Facebook being like, "You got it!" I was like, "Oh my god!" So it was really exciting, and everything happened really fast. So once I was cast, the next day, or no, that afternoon, I met the entire cast. So everyone, I met everyone for a table read, and then the day after that, I went in for a hair makeup test, and then that Wednesday, I shot my first scene.
Wow.
So it was like...
So how did you prepare? I mean, I know that there is prior, literature, comic books, all of that. So did you get into any of that, or were you given a new spin on the character?
Oh, as soon as I found out, I went online, Googled Xavin, found the Wikipedia page, then was like, okay, these are the comic books I need to look for. Went to the comic book store, started just rifling through, trying to find every image of Xavin, which is kind of hard since Xavin is a shapeshifter. So there were some scenes that I didn't realize were Xavin at first and I had to reread and go, oh, okay, that's me too. Which is a lot of fun to do on the show as well.
Yeah. Being a shapeshifter on a show, I'm sure, is actually one of the coolest things ever.
I get so much credit.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit about your first impression of her and how you kind of decided to put maybe a little bit of different spin on it than was in the comic books.
Yeah, so when I first went through the comic books and saw some of the more iconic moments with Xavin, what stood out to me was the comedic nature of that dry humor that Xavin has and the blatant honesty. So when I went into doing the television show, I tried to honor that as best as I could. But of course with the writers and the directors, we're all working as a team to have a final product that's the creative vision. So I try to stay as close to the comics as I can with what I'm given. I hope that people like it.
Yeah, I mean, in the comics, I think your character is a little bit brasher, and maybe it's just because of kind of the chemistry you have with everyone. Your character does become a lot more likable, I think, throughout the episodes.
Oh,
Which is amazing. You definitely brought her to life. What were your goals going into this third and final season for portraying this character?
I really wanted to show an emotional progression with Xavin, and it's hard because Xavin's quite muted and an alien. So human emotion is something that's really new to Xavin, which was an interesting challenge for me as an actor to take it down a few notches, but not too far that people wouldn't see what I was doing.
Right.
So letting emotion kind of just peek out at the right moments was something that was really fun to play with this last season.
And also in the comic books, wasn't she gender fluid? Is that like part of the storyline? So is that something that's going to be more explored, you think, this season, or I'm
not sure if it's going to be more explored this season, but Xavin is, within the fandom too, is they, them. Everybody loves that Xavin is genderless. So I see it as a cosmic being. Gender's not a thing. Humans, gender's a thing. So on the show, Xavin does shapeshift into man and woman.
Yeah. And so what were your all of your kind of reactions when you guys found out this would be the final season, because there's obviously so much more story to tell?
I know. Well, as we were getting episode by episode, rumors started going around the set. Some people were like, maybe this is the last one. No, it can't be. Maybe it's the last one. So when I finally found out that the show, it was the last season, we already kind of had a feeling, that it was going in that direction. So what I hope for, and I haven't had a chance to watch the whole show yet, since it came out last night, but what I hope is that the fans are really satisfied with how everything's wrapped up. We're lucky enough that the show wasn't canceled mid-season or something like that, where the story didn't get to be told the way we wanted it to be told.
So it sounds like it was one of those things where you guys were reading the scripts and you're like, I think I see what you're doing here, writers. It wasn't kind of just like a surprise to everybody.
Yeah. I think that's exactly right. We were looking at the scripts and just reading between the lines and asking questions to producers and not getting straight answers.
Yeah.
So.
Well, so you obviously know what happens with your character, and just in a hypothetical alternate universe, if the show were to have another season, what is something that you would have liked to explore more with Xavin?
Ooh. Well, one thing that I would have loved to explore is continuing that emotional change within Xavin, because there's a bit of a softening and I guess you could call it like an acceptance that happens within Xavin this season, and I'd love to get to explore that a lot more if we got to keep going.
Yeah.
And be able to explore more of like Xavin's powers and all the different things, all this cosmic magicness that comes with this character.
And what was it like last season, you know, joining this cast that's so tight-knit? I'm sure it was intimidating. Did they, of course, welcome you with open arms, and have you guys, you know, all become close since?
Yeah, it was crazy because I guess they were looking for Xavin for a long time. Oh, wow. So when I went to that first table read, everyone was so excited to see me, more than I thought, which was really nice because it was kind of like joining school halfway through a school year. You know, everybody already knows each other. They already have their really close, tight relationships. But when I walked into the room for the first time, literally people were like, "Oh my God, you're here!"
They've probably been talking about you so long since you were such a big part of the comic books.
Exactly. So it was a really nice welcoming. Everyone was so sweet, and I've gotten close with a lot of my castmates. They're good friends.
What do you think this season has that's different than the first two? That, you know, audiences, you know, might be surprised about, or just notice some kind of a change in the way the storytelling is happening?
I think something that's going to be different in this season is that it gets a lot darker, and each person in the show is really faced with the question of what are you truly made of? What can you do?
Wow.
Like, what are you willing to do as well? There's a lot of characters that have to face some hard truths.
Yeah, and I haven't gotten to the end yet, but I'm assuming there will be some deaths, which I'm not looking forward to. But, you know, you never know in these kinds of rules and with aliens and different things. So I have faith that it'll be okay.
No one ever dies in Marvel.
Yeah. So it'll be fine. No one ever dies in Marvel. That should be a bumper sticker. That's good. Well, after this, what are you up to now? Do you have any future projects coming up or things that you really would like to tackle now after having this amazing role?
Yeah, so recently I wrote a show with one of my really good friends, and we did a crowdfunding campaign, raised $10,000, which was really exciting. So we're in the pre-production part of making the show. It's called R&R. So if you go on my Instagram, you'll probably see a bunch of stuff about R&R. But yeah, I'm producing that and writing it and acting in it and creating a whole team of these amazing females that are all going to tell the story. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
That's fantastic. Well, I can't wait to see it. And thank you so much for coming in. We loved having you. And guys, make sure you binge the entire third and final season of The Runaways on Hulu now. We'll see you next time.